All right, y'all, we live. I said, oh, we live. Oh, we live in his ass. I said, oh, we live in his ass. Oh, we live. I need to know. Oh, we live. People want to know. Oh, we live. I ain't heard no notification go out. I don't know. Oh, we live. I haven't heard no notification go out. Oh, we live. I said, oh, we live. Y'all thought I wasn't coming back. I told you I was. I know some of y'all thought I wasn't coming back. Let's open up Windows Media Player. And let's get to it. Check out this footage we just did a couple hours ago.
Wait a minute. Shine, put it up. Put it in. Because you be hanging right there. Alright, hold on a second. How was that cheap? Where's the big one? Hey, you ain't hard time. Alright, come on. You should be halfway up the hill on that. Alright. Hey, Naya. Welcome back. Aren't you glad we got to see that moment? All right, let's go. We're on the move. Oh, nigga, that line. You just couldn't go straight, could you? You just couldn't go straight. I know you could. And it was too much like right. Yes, now that's history. Young girls everywhere. Just like 12 years ago when Barack Obama was on that stage, they told all our young men that it's possible. It's possible to achieve. But Saturday night, you don't sing that business. Well, we're going to have to keep an eye on this phone. But this phone is, I got it plugged up just, it's really going to drain. But I got it plugged up. I didn't charge the power banks up. I didn't realize we worn out. All right, so we on the move. Well, I'm glad it's mad. Ain't nobody out here. Well, yes. I was working when Barack Obama got sworn in both times. I was at work. And I had to listen to it on the radio. So I missed Barack being sworn in. But I was there. I missed the first black man, but I didn't miss the first black woman. Proof that you can do anything in this country. It might not be easy, but it can be done. It ain't gonna be easy. Nobody said it was easy. But it can be done. You know? I'm riding right to the hose. I'm trying to get up here so fast. I wouldn't be able to get in there and then come back. I wouldn't be able to charge up a little bit. Because we'll be going to the 7-Eleven too. That was the train. What the hell is he doing? What are you doing, man? Or am I going to get a bite? It's 9:25. You know, we got a lot of people in the family that's upset because Trump didn't win. And I understand. I understand. Just because I understand, don't mean I gotta agree. I understand. I understand. So we're gonna move. I'm not even gonna talk about how steep the hill is. got my gloves. I came out here, I said it wasn't chilly. But now my hands starting to get cold. This battery down to 2 dots already. That's all we need to hurry up and get up here. We're gonna let her recharge. Oh, I did it last time. Oh, I'm not on the party. They got the dry. For this music. So hey, where everybody go? I could have already been back. I sacrificed the whole hour so that we could share that moment together. I sacrificed the whole hour so we could share that moment together. The least y'all could do is come with me to the damn store. But I don't care if you're hearing that. One thing is, I got to say it. That's a once in a lifetime thing. Look how steep this incline is, y'all. Look how steep this boy is. Try to line me down this 10 times straight. This is killing the battery. This is killing it. Now you said TV and where everybody go? That's all good. We got the 360 degree footage. You know, we still got 74 days. We still got 74 days of Donald Trump before he gotta get out of office. So, but it's gonna be boring now. Who we gonna pick on? He ain't giving us so much content. We had to find somebody else to get on now. Donald Trump gave us so much daggone content. We're gonna have to find somebody else. Joe Biden is so presidential. Maybe Kamala will get into an argument with some of the women in Congress. I don't know. But with Donald Trump gone, it's going to be a lot quieter. Now it's 9:31. I don't dare try to make it to the 7-Eleven. First, that means I got to come out of here and then go back up, which is not what I wanted to do. But you got to do what you got to do. I wanted to hit the 7-Eleven first with no bag. It's going to be harder to get through the door. Hopefully, you get somebody here to hold it open. We'll make do. We always make do. Take a deep breath. Alright. next basket. They saw him say was nothing. That is the last one here. Yeah, I'm good. All I need is one. I would have bought my little tail, but I'm going to 7-Eleven. I had to watch the Kamala Harris thing. You know they ain't got nothing. Everybody ain't thinking more, but if I'm going to charge up a little bit, we need to get moving. We need to get in and get out. No playing around. No jokes. No nothing. Alright, give me them teams. I don't want no Hawaiian Punch. They have anything on sale, any lemonade on sale? They ain't got no lemonade on sale. I'll get lemonade, they got it on sale. $3.19, $3.19, 2 for $3. I'm trying to do something different. They ain't working with a young man. I'm trying to find something different. Trying to do something different here. They ain't working with me. They not working with me. All right, they got country time. Wait a minute. They got country time for $129. How many packets you get? You get 6 packets. Okay. Come on, bastard. Work with me here. There you go. So we need lemonade. Y'all have a generic lemonade? I see lemon lime soda. Y'all have a generic lemonade? No generic lemonade, y'all. I see cream soda, birch root beer. Let me take some Mountain Dew. So they don't get no... $2.29. They don't have a deal on lemonade at all. That's the only lemonade they got. They only got one kind of lemonade, and they're on $2.30. Nope, that ain't gonna work. Oh my God, my lights on? Hey man, what the heck you want to keep by? What is this? One man show? What the heck is a one man show? Well, I don't know what that is, but I guess I'll find out. I'm coming next up. What? Running past up. What? A new sound. A new high. Don't ask why. I like to hit you. Put me down. I drown suckers. That's how I do. How I bring it. You got that. Clean. Don't ask around. But why don't done? We make it sweeter. That should have been fun. So, I'm like Curry Ellis. It's no help because the style still stinks. Y'all get there proper. That's not the tag. My still flag all over you like a rag. I'm never at a loss for words. But better do what we do not serve. Never took a drink. Never smoked a blunt. Never went hungry. Always been enough low. Sometimes the lights cut out never for more than one day. I was scared to hey, I lost all my pay. That's why I don't front. I never waited for the first of the month. I work, so I don't work hard. I feel only one thing. You got no sale? No. Don't stop. No sale? Stop ridiculous. I'm switching. Yo, I wish I could drive on the back. Because these fronts be too cheap and too damn bad. I'm looking like... like dirt, just broke up. A bump like dirt, just drop up. A bump like dirt, just drop dead. What? A bump like dirt will go upside your head. A bump like dirt, just broke up. A bump like dirt, just stop up. Hey, I got something to say.
How you like me now? Look at that.
I think you let your children play up the street with a crack vibe
In the needles, under their feet.
Yes, the inner city is unique. I face I like to forget, so I know what I need. And they just, cause they ain't down there for me. That's on high end.
You feel like chicken?
Use my people. And that's
Grease and grease.
get mad. But I'm a fan. I like to out and the ladies on the strip on their way to work.
Put that short on the skirt.
I'll stop it first. Some living don't hurt.
I get stuff. Get that truck.
I wish I could live in the bubble. Just me and my lady. Everything will be focused. Crazy. No man's an hour. Can't come stop power. You can have your beat. K-N-Y and wear George. Or polio. But there's a bubble.
I want something to snap on.
I want to retire young. In a family in Salisbury. Now I crack roll house on Coastbury. That's just me. I ain't putting no one or nothing down. Don't flex, don't frown. I'm not down by the street code. I just want this to look like. That looks like.
Cause you know that.
Bump like dirt, says drop dead.
What?
A bump like dirt will go upside your head.
What?
A bump like dirt says broke up.
What?
A bump like dirt says you stop suck.
What?
Bump like dirt says drop dead.
What?
A bump like dirt will go upside your head.
You know.
A bump like dirt says broke up. A bump like dirt says you suck on the like Haskell.
But I'm not a friendly host. I don't like the boat.
Well, they my people rock. From coast to coast.
There'll be a felony.
If it's that with my mouth,
There'll be a felony. Give me a sample of my melody. Hey, they don't sound for 88 cents.
I'm that dude, a magician.
I'm the great one.
The best time I want to raid old black over those drums. No, I'm they run. But you so welcome.
Chain to the luggage rack.
So you sucker can't jack me for my bass suit while I sleep.
When you're on like Tupac. I'm the murder, man.
The real heavy D.
Forget this monkey.
I'm the motherfucker, so I don't need no props. I'm composed to hit, and I won't stop. I can't stop.
Cause I'm invincible.
I stick to my principles.
I follow no one.
I'm a trendsetter,
the
dominator,
the
heartbreaker.
the
This is my sport. They can't hang with me. They can't bang with me on these walls. I dump tracks like Shaq.
See, I put you on your back, Black.
A bump like dark says drop dead. A bump like dark will go upside your head. A bump like dark says grow up. A bump like dark says you stop up. A bump like dark says drop dead. A bump like dark will go upside your head. A bump like dark says grow up. A bump like dark says you stop up. Stop.
What you gonna take, son? Cause I put you on your back.
I'm running like this.
Alright.
I kick out feet with no assist.
Alright.
How
you like it now?
I go to the grave with tracks that never been heard.
How you like me now?
Some say I'm mentally good, but no, I'm touch her. How you like me now? I use nouns and verbs.
And I stay alert. Doesn't mean you'll only get hurt.
Cause I really don't care, answer to no one. I live alone.
I'm keeping myself. See, that's good for my health.
Can't nobody take what I make, so you never know what I got.
Rockin' with no assist.
Oh, there, bro.
Cause a brother like
Dark says drop dead.
What?
A bump like dark will go upside your head.
What?
A bump like dark says grow up.
What?
A bump like dark, yo, it's like
What?
a bump like dark says drop dead.
What?
A bump like dark will go upside your head.
A brother like that says grow up.
Every day I pick up a paper
Anything else for me?
and I read that. I wish I had it. And if you
Still got eggs, you still got a whole pack of chicken.
this is a
You
whole
just
lot
got
of
some hot cheese. What's the day? The 8th?
you got the sweet like
Day 8 right now. Day 7. So you got 2 days.
dropped on the
You
back
got 2
seat.
days.
The front speakers are too damn weak. Second drop from the front seat. The front speakers are just too damn weak. A bump like dark says drop dead. A bump like dark will go inside your head. A bump like dark says
I think we good.
A bump like dark says your style sucks.
Oh, let me get some more sunflower seeds. Oh, wait a minute. This ain't alright. It's the last time. Only then. Which means I passed it.
Let's say somebody white.
Alright, y'all. Give me some sunflower seeds. Too bad they ain't got the pump. I wish they had pumpkin seeds on sale. Yeah, that pumpkin seeds are all in the leg. $3.59.
Yeah, that pumpkin seeds ain't no joke. No, they ain't got no cheap pumpkin seeds. They right there, just gotta get up and get them. Alright, this is the last thing. Dang, nuts are expensive. Jesus. Nuts almost cost as much as a real pound. Let me stop. Yeah, that look good, but you don't need it. They look good, though. Alright, I'm good. I don't know how I got back in the town. Right time coming up. Alright, who's open? Number 7. He said, thank heaven it's number 7.
That's what I think. This is going down anyway. I'm talking about the rat and I'm going to kill him. Kill him hard. He got stuff. He went somewhere where they can get you that. I was like,
Did anybody get the reward? Yeah. Because anybody seen Donald Trump, last time they saw him, he was climbing the golf course. Come on ahead, Dick. Okay.
That's your stuff, Shonda. That's my stuff. Oh, that's your stuff. I left mine. I was going to put my body stuff on there.
Yeah, I actually was doing nothing to do at 8 o'clock. I was on my live stream. And then I ended up at 8 o'clock. And then her was going to come do that person speak, so I said, well, I don't want to miss that. They ain't so until 8:30. And then they got done at 9. I said, well, now we got to go to 9. Get her going for the 7-11 and then come ahead. All right, go to 7-11 come back. I need to borrow some juice from y'all. Hope y'all don't mind. I don't want to get straight. I'm saying that.
You waiting for me to ride? I'm waiting for your ride too. Oh, wait for you. I got one. Hey, how are you?
You know what's that? The 13th. Alright. I'm going a little bit of juice. And then, if y'all don't mind, I'm going to charge up a little bit so y'all put me out. Or I won't be offended. Dude, you got some way the block. Get a charger right. So we said we stranded. So we said I ain't bring the bike chain. Matter of fact. I ain't got to worry about me. I ain't gonna bump nothing. Come on. You gonna give me a hard time, huh? Alright. Alright, shall we charge it up? Okay, just honestly, come on. Alright. Alright, y'all. Yep, 9:50. So we got 10 minutes to charge up. They won't put us out. We got 10 minutes till they put us out. So you better get your charge on, girl. We got 10 minutes. And they won't put us out. You got 10 minutes tools. Now instead of going back down to the other end of the street, we're gonna go around the building and go straight up 33rd. And hopefully that'll save some battery power. I don't even remember what I got. But we only spent $17, so yeah, almost everything we got was a damn on $1 except for the grease. 10 minutes. Yep, they closed in 10 minutes toes. They got hot sausages right there. That was $3.99. We paid $2.69 for the grease. We paid $129 for the Country Time. We got the sugar-free Country Time lemonade, so I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. We still got some packets of the root beer. So I got a soda that I'm going to split with them packets and stretch it out. And we got lemonade, sugar-free. So we're going to be good on drinks. And we'll come back on the 10th and we'll load up. I love my groceries. I'm bringing a wagon and we're going to load that boy down. I'm probably going to get like 5 or 6 packs of chicken. If they got the ground beef under $10, I'm going to get like 3 or 4 packs of that. I'm going to get some, they got pork chops for around $10 or less. We're going to get pork chops. Because I didn't want to miss it, okay? I saw it. I told you I had to work. And I missed Obama getting in. I had to work. And I missed it. Both times Obama got elected, I was at work. Listening on the radio. You understand what I'm saying? I was listening on the radio. So for once I was there. We got 44% on the phone. But I can switch the power bank. The camera charged. I think I can unplug the camera and plug the phone up. The camera charged. It's fully charged, so let me switch. So let me switch in. Alright, so we got the phone charging there. So we got the scooter charging. We got the phone charging. So we definitely gonna be out there. Like I said, it's a lot of activity, so I'm trying to avoid it by going straight up 33rd. But I know if I go the other way, I'm going to have to pass that club. And you know, people are going to get drunk. They get belligerent. And like I said, I don't want y'all to see me at the body slam somebody. It ain't pretty. I promise you that, it ain't pretty. So I can stop this camera. Alright, camera back on, let's go. Just in case something go down. Oh, wait a minute. This giant customer. But this customer is gone. Let's go. Alright, y'all, let's rock on. You're damn. I ain't fine. Yeah, I should have tried them. Well, they seem to be okay. Ain't really no reason for me to get up. This is better than damn on sidewalk. No, it ain't. It's worse. I thought this was better than the sidewalk. This is worse than the damn on sidewalk. Right. Can I get that school on the brand keto? Well, let me get over. Are you moving right now?
78. Yeah, I think so. 1286. I think this one is wrong.
I thought y'all took that down the other day.
I know that. A whole lot of stuff that's right there is wrong.
Okay.
The fuck?
Okay, and how much you got on? What?
But this one is 50 cents.
Okay, well then, let me get through the 50 cent off. You said $4?
$4.
Let me get one more. They are you still on the ground?
Yeah. 4 milligrams citrus. Yeah.
Okay, let me get around.
But yeah, I saw the hat and I was just wondering how it fit.
Yeah, that's why I was telling you, watching that Kamala Harris mess me up. I'm sorry, I'm glad I didn't hit you. I'm glad I didn't hit that lady. So we got our groceries right. Let's go. I thought I turned that light off, but didn't. All right, so let's roll. We are on the move. Turn the reach back on in.
Music.
All right, so we good to go. Hey, where the hell you going? Big back. Oh my goodness. I'm about to turn up. It's still not turning around. It's the third time. Sorry about that, y'all. I turned that thing around like 4 times and still turning back. Ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Probably only 10 in there instead of 15. Well, let's see. What's going on, man? our street, or we can take the scenic route. Which way y'all want to go? Y'all want the scenic route? Let's take the scenic route. It's Saturday night. Let's head on, y'all. I'm just curious. I hope I didn't get jipped. Of course, I can't get it from my pocket now, right? Let's get one. I just want to see if I got jipped or not. That's all. If I got jipped, you got it. If I didn't, great. But they were still too much. I need to order from offline. That was actually quite fast. Same thing. Yeah. Let's try miracle. Wish I can go in there and get some more energy. Let's say be careful. So y'all think we back at the market? That was like it's 15 in here. That was 15 of them. Don't feel like a 15 out of me. But, you know, let's get moving. You got both bags? Yep, let's go. All right, y'all, we got the remote of energy. Let's go. Well, let's drop on in. We've been hanging out today. I hope y'all had fun. I enjoyed myself. And one thing I understand about 7-Eleven, if they $4.09. 10 times 6 is only 60 cents. 3 times 9 is 36. That's not $13, but I ain't gonna mind. Thank you. They won't put them on sale. All right, now I can talk. We shouldn't see nobody the whole ride. So let's relax. Oh, it's already down. All right, y'all. We taking the scenic route. This is the bike route. Now we gonna have to use our merge. Let somebody on one-on-one say, hey. Let you back enjoy the ride. said, I appreciate y'all spending that opportunity with me. Like I told y'all before, I missed both the Obama acceptance speeches. I saw the inauguration, you know, but I didn't see the acceptance speech. I was working. So, to be able, I missed the first black man, but at least I was able to see the first woman, the first black woman, Chinese woman, Indian woman, whatever. They look at her and they see it as black woman, so you take it with a grain of salt. Yeah. She can try and hide it all she wants. Why could I turn that off? Alright. Is it all the way out? Yeah. It's all the way out? Yeah, let's go. There ain't no adjustment on the other one. That's a USB power. I don't even know where I got it. Dumbest thing I ever did was get that thing. Now, this is a good angle for y'all to see. Good. Now, we riding at half speed to conserve battery. As soon as we climb that Loch Raven hill, I turn it up full speed. Now, I don't know why this hill ain't as bad as on the other, Homestead is ridiculous. The hill on Homestead is ridiculous. So, you know what, y'all? That blink I like too much. I just don't want to get hit. That's just too much. We're just rolling on. I'm keeping an eye on the camera, but it should be alright. But if not, I'll put the power banks back. We up to 55% on the phone. The other one should be near 100%. One thing, I'm ready to be on the damn bike. We was flying down here. We going slow in the dirt. But check it out though, we moving. That's all that matters. We ain't walking. Oh, we down to one battery like. I was hoping to be up the hill before we hit this. So as usual, I can't do what I want to do. Yeah, I could slow it down. If I wasn't in the middle of the street, I would slow it down. thought we down to one light. Hey, we got a green light, can't do nothing about it. Oh no, it's just saying, we can't do nothing about it. We had that green light, can't do nothing about it. I tell you one thing, for November, it feels good out here, I tell you that. But I'm well covered up. I'm gonna ride to the other side of the street, and then I'm gonna stop for a second and then let them run, because he look like. We're gonna pull up right here and take a little breaky break. We're gonna pull up right here, take a little break. Stop for a second, take a little breaky break. So, ladies, has anybody heard from Donald Trump yet? What do you have to say about the inauguration? Have y'all heard anything? Is he in his feelings? Is Donald Trump in his feelings? Alright, we have a chance to rest. Let's go. Something was coming. Get that quick. Alright. It's the last hill right here, y'all. This is it. And of course, we had to watch the acceptance speech, and I don't regret it. We got a long trip today. Well, it ain't long, but it's just, we're going slower and make it longer. But it's all good. Like I said, we only had one call come, and it came out of nowhere when I wasn't expecting it. Sit back and relax. They said we got 2 lights left. All we got to do is get over this hill. I'll turn it full power. Just got to give this hill. We haven't rode around behind the school in a minute. Well, our luck ran out. T-Bar coming. So we're moving on. We still ain't got over the hill yet. We're still going up. Then we start going down. We're going to turn it up. We're going to crank it. think by staying in the street, he really eliminated. Yeah, we got it now. See, let's go. Woo! Break it up. We're going full speed now. All right, we almost to the house. We ain't got much further to go. Well, actually, we got a couple blocks. Man, what was that? Oh, that's something rough, man. I know we lost something. Lost one of our little shopping bags. Yeah, we didn't get much. I just got some snacks. Yeah, we lost that. I was gonna ride down the street, somebody had to come right on up. Everyone's saying, right on up. Like clockwork. Nobody else is out here. Clockwork. Y'all know what they say, they gotta find somebody. Go ahead. Thank you. All right, now we ain't over behind us. All right, you go. We're gonna take the meal and go right in his area. Well, we did it. Hopefully the car don't come down here and get that way. What you know here? No, he can't. I don't believe it. Now we going down the mountain. I was going to say, come on, come. I thought you had any work in your hand. They really have come a long way. Did the bag slide down? No. Go on this side. We ain't dragging stuff down the road, huh? That would be the devil in your hand. Ouch, right now. So I'm going to drag you along the way. All right, let me set the mail real quick. Everything. No, we good. We can see what's going on. Ain't nothing there. You can go like those ruffles. There's something ain't there. Let's go. Hey, I'm the only one that can flash lights around here. How y'all doing? I see them power banks. I said, I don't even feel like it. There's no old thing. You can do it now, you can do it later. All right. Well, I ain't got to come outside for a couple days, so.
All right. So that was our trip to the store that we just did. Well, we did a couple hours ago. We did it right after the inauguration demonstration. Let's all see if anything going on in the world. Anybody heard from Trump? See that? AWE Full Gear 2020. JD from New York doing a review. 1.2 thousand people watching him talk about the wrestling. Amazing. Amazing. All right, this 2 hours ago, CBS Chicago.
Here's my new giraffe.
Erupted across the country, and they've been celebrating here in Chicago. CBS 2's Stephen Graves is live near Trump Tower, where people are still coming out. Stephen?
Hey, Javier, I'll tell you what, the vibe is a lot more low-key right now, but people from all around Chicago, different neighborhoods, are coming to this one spot, they tell us, for a sense of release. Now, even though that is the case, you cannot really go a minute without hearing spontaneous cheers or this. And those, of course, the honks of cars just driving by constantly. We've been hearing that for the whole evening. Earlier, a big party filled Wacker Drive in front of Trump Tower. You're looking at a view from overhead right now where police, they did block off the road. But again, people are coming down, really just walking around. Police blocking off the area, they say, in an effort to protect people's right to assemble. A theme most people hear, though, they say they're celebrating is hope for change with President-elect Joe Biden. We met two young women out here tonight. One says she hopes to see the pandemic come under control with new leadership. Another says she can't wait to see how the world will react.
I think that Biden will be able to unite us, hopefully, and so we can tackle this pandemic together. I think that's what's most important. That's what America needs right now. We need to heal. I hope that the country can be unified again and not as divided, and that Germany has like a pretty bad view of the USA right now, and I hope that that can change again, and that they can rebuild their relations.
And we have seen at least one vehicle driving through here in support of President Donald Trump. Also, though, we have seen a lot of people, again, walking around, and police are going to be staying out here. But for the most part, in Chicago, we most likely will be seeing more celebrations. That is because out of the Chicagoans that voted, more than 80% cast a ballot in favor of President-elect Joe Biden. Live here in Trump Tower, Stephen Graves.
Email me the link or send it on
Stephen, thank you.
I'll see if I can find it myself. I'll see if I can find it too. If you can send me that link now, I'll play it. Looks like my sausage is ready. Yeah, in Beverly Hills. Ha ha. Yeah.
Cleaning up, removing the barriers and all the things that they used to close down the park. Since the crowd has now cleared, about 45 minutes ago, they did attempt to walk down Beverly Drive here in Beverly Hills, and at that point, police declared an unlawful assembly, and a dispersal order was put into place, and the crowd just disappeared. We do have video, though, from earlier today when it was a pretty big crowd. To put things into perspective, we were here last weekend, and there were an estimated 4,000 people here. Today I would say maybe 400 or so, but you could not tell the difference based on the sound of it. This was a very vocal, very passionate crowd, committed to making themselves heard and seen. Their overall message, as you said, is they do not trust the results as they stand now. They want the president to take this fight to court. They want a recount because they think this election was, in the words of Donald Trump, stolen. And when you ask them about what evidence they've seen, they say it is coming. This crowd insists the allegations are not unsupported.
There's just so much coming out, and it's all leaning towards one side. There's not one count of voter fraud coming out to favor Trump. It's everything coming out. It always favors one side.
I have following the vote count, and I stay up all 3 nights, and the number doesn't add up.
I think there needs to be more clarity, because there's a lot of uncertainty in the air, and every legitimate vote should count.
Now, I want to say this was, for the most part, problem-free, some back and forth between the crowd here and Biden-Harris supporters who were passing by in cars, but certainly nothing that escalated, which is good news. Now, the Trump supporters have been here every weekend for months now. We thought it might end once the election was over, but from all indications today, it looks like they will return, perhaps even as soon as tomorrow. We are live in Beverly Hills. Guys, back to you.
Y'all know what the problem is. Trump gone, they ain't gonna make that money they're making.
And I want to do a huge shout out to Belief for sponsoring today.
They ain't gonna make that money they was making. That's the problem. They not gonna make that money they was making. That's what the problem is. They ain't making that money. Their pockets gonna be a little emptier without Donald Trump watching their back. I don't understand how come they out there now. Where was you at 6 months ago? 3 months ago? 2 months ago? Republicans always want to do something late. It's too late. It's over. Now you want to cry. Now you want to get attorneys. It's too late. It's over. Sound like you whining now. That's all I'm saying. Sound like you whining. Sound like you baby and say whinings. You baby and say. Go ahead and sing me a song. Sing a song full of the hope that the judges can help you. Facing the rising sun, President Trump is done. I said a hee-hee. I said a hee-hee. Uh-oh. Oh, dang, that's somebody's video. Oh, yeah, while we here, y'all know we got copyrights from the music they played at the thing. See it? I bet you there's like 5 of them on here. I hope we ain't got to do them all one at a time. How many of them is? Well, that's only 3. Something's got a hold of me. Remember that song, We the People? And Higher Love, Whitney Houston. But we can trim out the segment. Continue. So it's going to take 3 days to get rid of this. So we got the first day working. We still got 2 songs to go. We the People by the Staple Singers and Higher Love. Looking for a higher love. I know I turned that water up. It burns me up. How it turns itself back on. Do a refresh. Can we get a new page? I saw something more. I don't see nothing more down the trunk. I don't see nothing more down the trunk. I don't see nothing more down the trunk. All right, let's take a look. Somebody said it's still more votes. So what's going on in Georgia?
In Georgia, Natisha Lance joins us with a look at where the numbers stand tonight as we approach Sunday morning.
Well, that lead that Joe Biden has keeps getting wider and wider. We just had some numbers come in about 7 o'clock this evening from DeKalb County, 1,982, 177 going to Trump, and 1,790 going to Biden. So that now leaves the spread at 9,160. But I want to give you an overview of the full picture here in Georgia. All of these are the counties in Georgia, 159 of them. The orange ones are the counties that have certified their ballots so far. There's a lot of green here, so there's still a long ways to go, but every county has until November 13th in order to certify all of these to make all those votes valid. We have heard that there could possibly be a recount and an audit, but we're going to continue to watch those numbers to see if that gap continues to widen or if it gets a little bit smaller. So we'll keep you guys updated.
All right, President-elect gaining about 1,500 votes in Georgia throughout the course of the day.
What? Say that for prime time. Yeah, he has been quiet.
to talk now to Bill Weld. He is a former governor and attorney general of Massachusetts and has been speaking out in favor of American democracy. Bill, do we have you now?
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us. So first of all, before I get to some of these specific questions about what you've been saying and how in some ways you've been challenging the president as a fellow Republican, just first of all, for your reactions to this breaking news.
Well, I think it's terrific for the country. I've known Joe Biden for a long time. He's always had friends on both sides of the aisle. He's a very practical guy. People sometimes forget that he was a longtime chairman, not only of Senate Foreign Relations, but of Senate Judiciary. And that knowledge was in vivid display when he debated Paul Ryan in the 2012 vice presidential debate. And that's a measure of the depth that Joe Biden has. The other thing that I always think about him is that he's an institutionalist. He really is a man of the Senate. And I recall at least one instance when Obama was president, and Mitch McConnell was frustrated because there was a standoff and he didn't feel he had an audience on the other side. And he said, who do you got to know around here to get a deal done? And then a light bulb went off in Mitch's head and he walked across the street and did the deal with Joe Biden. So I think that's a harbinger of things to come.
Well, the president has also made several unfounded claims to the American people about fraud and corruption in the ballot counting. You've spoken out about that. Even as state officials have debunked those allegations and made it really clear that they are untrue. But Mr. Trump continues to push this message. So what is your response, and what do you have to say about why you're so troubled by that?
Well, I think what the president said this morning is just beyond reason. And he's flailing around about Pennsylvania. He's lost that twice in the United States Supreme Court already. And he's just showing his bitterness. And it's the move of a small man. It's not the move of some broad gauge person. I hope he's enjoying himself on the golf course. But I agree with what was said earlier also, that we have to remember that just as Mr. Biden has received the most votes ever for president in a presidential election, Mr. Trump received the second most. So we have to consider the feelings and the opinions of those 70 million people who voted for Mr. Trump as well. Joe Biden's number one priority is to unite the country, I think, before turning to any single issue. And he's going to have enormous goodwill just by bringing this acrimonious process to an end.
Acrimonious about sums it up. I just want our viewers to be aware that when we were seeing that footage of the president, that's not in real time. That was him earlier speaking before journalists there in the Brady briefing room at the White House. But Governor Weld, the president has been laying the foundation to contest the results of the election for months and has continuously attacked the security of democracy, of our mail-in voting systems, despite previously, and even in this case, voting absentee, voting by mail-in ballot himself. What does this tell us about the president's plans to contest the vote, and what does this mean for his chances at reclaiming the White House?
He has no chance of successfully contesting the vote. I mean, he took his people into Michigan. They said, Your Honor, we have fraudulent votes. And the judge said, do you have any evidence? No, we don't have any evidence. And the Michigan judge basically said, give me a break. Get out of my courtroom. You would think they could come up with more than that. And, I think it's very important, as the president said this morning, that all legal votes be counted. And perhaps that fraudulent votes not be counted. So come back with some evidence of fraudulent votes and we can talk about it. But they've not been successful in doing that.
With Facebook Shop.
Yeah. All right, well, President Trump has remained active on social media. Twitter has flagged several of the president's tweets since Tuesday for misinformation. How has the length of the ballot counting process impacted the president's message over time? And as a fellow elected leader, as a fellow Republican, what do you think his obligation is for how he ought to be speaking to the country in this moment?
Oh, he has an obligation to act like a grown-up. But that's a mantle that he has not yet assumed ever since he was elected president. So I wouldn't look for that to happen anytime soon.
Well, along those lines, the president has said he is not planning on conceding the election, even if he were to lose. You and I both know, and I think our viewers know at this point, that the peaceful transition of power happens regardless of whether the loser, in fact, concedes. But it does have an impact on democracy. It does have an impact on the pride that we have in our institutions. Do you think that the president will change that position for the good of this country? And do you feel like that will persuade his followers to move towards a sense of reconciliation as Americans?
Well, I mean, I think you're right that the petulant manner in which he's behaving himself today just makes it harder for everybody. We want to get this behind us and move on and unify the country for the good of the United States of America. But if you go all the way back to the beginning of my campaigns against President Trump as a libertarian, as a Republican, there's pretty good consensus that the poor man is a malignant narcissist, and he's only happy when other people are losing, and he's receiving praise. And I just think that's so deep-seated that it's not going to change. I think that as president, he has many skills and talents, and very shrewd politically. But in the White House, he's the wrong guy in the wrong place. As I said back in the 2016 campaign, if only he could consider, some other business to go into, even the hotel business, but not president of the United States. He just was woefully unprepared for that. Unfortunately for the country as a whole, from moment one.
Well, you said just now in the White House, as it stands, he will not be in the White House come January, but he still will have a megaphone. He still will be on social media. He'll still be, I'm sure, in front of cameras. What role do you think President Trump will play in this post-period, not just what role he ought to be playing, but how will he continue to influence American politics and have an impact on the Biden presidency?
Oh, I don't think he's going to try to continue to rule the roost politically. What you say is true, but if I were Donald Trump, I would find it much more appealing to return to my varied business interests and travel around to just burnish that brand and spend more pleasurable time with his family. I think it would be not in his interest to say, okay, this is still my Republican Party, even though I didn't win, so I'm going to continue to tell the Senate what to do, for example. I think if he did do that, he might find that the welcome had been worn somewhat thin. I mean, I've said for a while that I thought if and when the president does lose, there's going to be an enormous sigh of relief on the part of many, many people who are in elected office in Washington. It may be a secret sigh of relief that they don't want anyone to hear, but I picked that up from
by
a lot of
Republicans, you mean?
By Republicans, and I've certainly heard that.
A secret sigh of relief from Republicans.
Right.
I'm bored. Hey! I clicked on something. What happened? Uh-oh. Young jerk.
If he loses this election, one of the things that Donald Trump is concerned about if he loses this election is the possible prosecution that he's going to have to deal with and as we know, Trump loves to engage in criminality, so it's definitely going to be a doozy. So how do we know this? Well, he's been speaking to his close advisors about his fears, and here are the details. Trump has for weeks told advisors that he expects to face intensifying scrutiny from prosecutors if he loses. He's concerned not only about existing investigations in New York, but the potential for new federal probes as well. And what kind of federal probes would Trump have to face? Well, as you guys know, one of the biggest issues that I wish were investigated further by his political opponents, but they haven't been, is money-related stuff. So his own personal lawyer, former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, testified under oath that Donald Trump committed tax fraud by deflating his assets in order to avoid paying taxes. And then he would inflate his assets in order to obtain loans that he had no business obtaining because he's a man who has gone bankrupt 6 different times. And so he is worried about those various investigations. But on top of that, he's worried about the IRS continuing its audit. Remember, he had received an insane $79 million tax refund one year. And so understandably, the IRS is concerned about tax fraud in that case. And that audit has been paused as he serves as president. But as soon as he's no longer president, it is assumed that that audit will continue. And he's likely to owe the IRS $100 million.
Okay, Big Dog's in a world of trouble. As we'll explain later, Deutsche Bank might also call on $340 million worth of loans. Oops, he ain't got no money, man. He doesn't have the $100 million for the federal government. He doesn't have the $340 million for Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank's not as concerned because they're like, he gave us personal guarantee. Now, Trump, for a long time, wasn't doing that because every single company he'd ever run had gone bankrupt. And he had lost all of his money in the beginning and learned, oh, no, only play with other people's monies, other suckers' monies, right? But by the end, he had no choice. He had no options left. Nobody was going to give him a loan. So he gets all of these loans and they're personal guarantees. Bottom line on that means, just like when you play Monopoly, which is based in Atlantic City, where Donald Trump first went bankrupt, then you have to break down your hotels and your houses, and you have to give it over to the bank because they own it, you don't. So that's what he's got to look forward to. The White House might be the last house that he lives in. He'll be homeless afterwards. Exaggeration, okay? Exaggeration, but not by much. So he's really worried about losing the money. That's primary concern. But now, and only because of the spotlight is he worried about the crimes. Because he's been committing crimes his whole life and never had to pay the consequences. I mean, a number of undocumented immigrants that he used on his projects in the most flagrant ways possible, and he never got held accountable. He's been cheating on his taxes for decades, never got held accountable. Because you just drown them in lawyers, and the rich get away with almost everything in this country. But now there's a giant spotlight on him. Federal government's coming after him for the money, but maybe potentially new crimes, because I mean, he commits a crime every day. Today, he's running his political war room out of the White House. I know, like, we're used to his crimes, so it seems like a relatively minor one, but it's a Hatch Act violation. You're not allowed to use government buildings and property that we all pay for as taxpayers for your political campaign. But you know why he's doing it, by the way? Because he had to build a wall around the White House because he's created such chaos. That's the state we're in now. So he didn't want to go to his Trump hotel where he was going to have his war room because he was worried he wouldn't make it out and be able to get back into the White House safely. That's the kind of insanity that has happened in Trump's America. And now he's on top of all that, worried about crimes he's going to be held accountable for in New York, where they're going to be highly motivated to pursue him. And honestly, before even Democratic,
why are you borrowing that? No.
Would take contributions from people like Donald Trump and look the other way. Our system is sick. When Trump leaves, it will not be solved. We still have to actually fix the underlying problems that created Trump in the first place. But Trump is just a festering wound of that sick system. We got to clean up the wound first.
Look, I totally agree with you that we have to clean up that wound. I'm going to make a prediction. I predict that the IRS will probably continue auditing him, and there could possibly be a consequence if it is proven that he committed tax fraud in order to avoid paying taxes. I don't think that the other prosecutions are going to go anywhere. I don't. I don't think he's ever going to see a day in a prison cell. I think he might end up settling certain things, but I just don't. When it comes to his loans from Deutsche Bank, like there's a big story out about how Deutsche Bank, is going to demand that he pay the money back. Let me give you those details. Deutsche Bank has about $340 million in loans outstanding to the Trump organization. In meetings in recent months, a Deutsche Bank management committee has discussed ways in which it could rid the bank of these last vestiges of the relationship. 2 of the 3 bank officials said the bank has over the years lent Trump more than $2 billion. It's really funny because they were looking to sell the loan, to sell the debt to a different company, and then they would try to collect it from Trump. But wouldn't you know, they're having difficulty finding anyone who'd be willing to do that. And so what Trump does is he files lawsuits against creditors alleging that they were predatory in their lending. And then he drags the lawsuit out as long as he possibly can. The bank ends up spending a ton of money on litigation, and then eventually they'll just settle either for a fraction of that amount or they'll just let it go. I mean, if you guys can remember the Trump Tower Chicago story that we talked about, he defaulted on that loan and then he immediately sued them, and then they were just like, oh, all right, whatever, we'll just let it go. And they didn't even seize his building. They just let it go completely because they didn't want to have to continue dealing with the lawsuit. It's just, that's how he plays. So he always finds ways to get out of things, and I want him to find ways to get out of the White House. Like, that's my number one concern.
Well, Irene in our member section wrote in and said, I hope running for president was the biggest mistake he ever made. And there's some chance that's true. And the Deutsche Bank story is a good example of that. When no one was looking, Deutsche Bank has given him loans, they're giving Russian oligarchs loans and getting money from them. And I was gonna say money laundering, I hesitated before such a heavy charge, but then I remembered, no, they actually paid a fine for money laundering. And let alone the drug cartels and everybody else they money laundered for. The rich get away with almost everything, unless there's a giant spotlight on. And now, because of Trump, there's a giant spotlight on Deutsche Bank. And Deutsche Bank, by getting rid of Trump, wants to go, get rid of the spotlight, get rid of the spotlight. So we can go back to our normal criminality that we pay normal fines for, and it's part of our profits, and we go on with our merry lives, right? So before Trump might have been an asset for their relationships with others, now he's definitely a liability. They're not even positive he could pay it back. That's why they're talking about seizing his assets. And are they gonna dump him? Yes. Now, it's not gonna happen overnight. Those loans, those particular loans don't come due for another 2 years. And if you try to get it early, Trump would fight you to the end of time on that. And so they'll have some trouble getting Trump to pay anything because he's a con man. That's why he went bankrupt 6 times and just didn't pay his bills. And he says, oh, smart people don't pay their bills. What happened to personal responsibility? Well, what happened is you might round the corner, Trump, and run into that brick wall of personal responsibility for the first time in your life after this election. And that's why he's in a cold sweat panic that he's going to lose today. And he is. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact.
I told y'all Trump was in debt. Nobody believe me. Told y'all the man was in debt. That's 7 years ago. 5 years ago. A month ago. All right, here you go, Naya.
All across the country in a few battleground states, the president's team continues to fight to ensure a fair counting of the remaining ballots. One America's chief White House correspondent, Chanel Rion, has more from Washington.
The plot continues to thicken as Pennsylvania finds itself the decider of the next president of the United States. President Trump maintains a healthy lead over Joe Biden in Biden's home state. But as ballot counting drags on, the opportunity for voter fraud increases dramatically. Such is the position of Team Trump, staked out in Philadelphia, where the Trump campaign's legal and political all-stars. Rudy Giuliani, Eric Trump, Corey Lewandowski, and others. Pam Bondi, former Attorney General of Florida and now Trump campaign legal advisor, took to the bullhorn in Philadelphia.
All eyes are on Pennsylvania, and they're trying to keep our eyes off the ballot. They are not going to get away with it. We are not going to stop. We are going to get in that room and be able to observe a legal process.
The Trump campaign sent this legal team to Philadelphia to ensure remaining ballots are not magically turned into Biden votes. But despite a court order allowing Team Trump to watch ballots being counted, there appear to be difficulties enforcing this court order. Those who have been close to the Trump legal team report that despite the judge's court order to allow observers into the ballot counting rooms, the local sheriff is refusing to enforce the order, leaving Pam Bondi and other members of the Trump campaign and legal team outside for hours after the court order was issued. When some poll watchers were in fact let into the room to watch the counters, local officials found another way to evade being watched. Bondi, Giuliani, Lewandowski, and members of the Trump legal team were out on the streets fighting to ensure fair counting of the remaining ballots. Pennsylvania still had about 500,000 votes to count, much of them, according to the Trump campaign, coming from strong Trump counties. By the Trump campaign's estimates, President Trump was solidly ahead of Biden by 135,000 votes. The biggest fear, and hence the drive to ensure Pennsylvania's remaining votes were fairly counted, is that, like Michigan, highly suspicious circumstances would suddenly launch Joe Biden into the lead through outright voter fraud, be it through throwing away ballots, burning them, or losing them in a ditch. The legal team is taking no chances here when so much is at stake. Chanel Rion, One American News, the White House.
Want to see more videos like this? Visit OANN.com for immediate access to all the clips you've been waiting.
Let's watch this, Naya. Too bad Liz ain't here for this.
Nicole Nicole Comstock, she spent the evening with people who are supporting the president and are now holding on to hope against the odds. Nicole?
Well, Jeff, a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump still think he has an honest shot at winning this. They think it's the election process itself that's dishonest.
Do you think Trump still has a shot?
Oh yeah.
He's
Don't
got
give me the odds.
Confidence is still soaring among some people who voted for Donald Trump. But others think at this point in the ballot counting process, he can only win re-election if
they'll
look deeper into what happened?
I have hope. I have so much hope. Most everyone we spoke with tonight said they believe that fraudulent votes will likely force Donald Trump out of office, which may come as no surprise when the president continues to address Americans like this.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us.
If I had assurance in the mail-in ballots, then I would be fine. I'd be like, hey, Biden won, hey, great.
But Jared Slack is not confident in mail-in ballots because of everything the president has claimed about them without providing evidence to back up his claims.
And you hear all these inconsistencies, it's like, this is our country on the line.
I really don't have a problem with how he speaks. I'd rather have somebody that's going to be a straight shooter and tell you how it is versus somebody who's going to hide behind a political mask.
The numbers don't add up. So something's wrong. Savannah Rader says as she watches the predominantly Democratic votes trickle into the key states that Trump needs in order to take the lead back from Biden, she thinks it has less to do with the legal processing of mail-in ballots, which President Trump discouraged Republicans from using, and more to do with the Democratic effort to silence the Republican voice.
I feel like I want my voice heard. I feel like the person next to me needs to have their voice heard. My neighbors around me, regardless of who they voted for, it needs to be fair. And it needs to be, done properly.
Hey, fatty. And that other bum. Let's just keep it real here, y'all. Let's keep it real here. All right? Let's keep it real. Why do we have so many mail-in ballots? Who is the reason that we have so many mail-in ballots? The coronavirus. If the president would have did a better job with the coronavirus, we wouldn't have so many mail-in ballots. Can I say it again? The best way to make sure you didn't have mail-in ballots was to make everybody healthy, keep everybody healthy so they can go vote, right? He didn't do that. Did he set up a better way to make sure the ballots were counted? No, he didn't. You're going to let every state do it their own way, and then when it don't go your way, you cry about it. That's not a leader. That's not a leader. And I see the news starting to do it with white folk too. They can always seem to find the dumbest or craziest looking black person, Mexican. Now you see they're doing it with the white folk too. This big pig was so busy worried about the numbers and the votes, why she ain't in there watching them? Why she out there sitting on her butt in the car complaining? Get in there and watch them count. Go help them. Go volunteer. Chubby Wubby? Somebody talk to me. Am I not making sense? Oh yeah. Republicans don't like getting their hands dirty. They want to go, and they're complaining at the end, right? Right?
And adding to the confusion, today President Trump said that Joe Biden should not claim victory, that he could easily do the same thing. Reporting live in Eastvale, Nicole Comstock, KCAL 9 News.
He already did the first night.
Comstock, she spent the evening with people who are supporting the president.
He did the first night. Why they lying? Huh? Sad. Sit down, David. I said go sit down. What? Why are they showing people sitting on the toilet?
Trump seems to have no interest in conceding to the fact that he lost this election. Joe Biden has won. He is the president-elect. But according to Vanity Fair, and this is a literal headline by Bess Levin, Trump plans to barricade himself in the Oval Office and refuse to come out if Biden wins. He has told those closest to him that he refuses and will not concede. Donald Trump is not reasonable and he has no dignity. So instead, he's decided he'll keep fighting this thing well beyond the point that it's hugely embarrassing to do so, writes Vanity Fair. And even after that fails, refuse to acknowledge that he lost and that Joe Biden is going to be president. Trump apparently thinks he can just go on being president, even if the American people have fired him. According to CNN, Trump reportedly has not prepared a concession speech. It's amazing. And in conversations with allies in recent days, he has said he has no intention of conceding the election. And in the meantime, the Trump campaign is playing all sorts of games in their attempt to steal this election. In fact, Zachary Cohen from CNN tweets the following, and bear with me as I read this thread. The GOP member of a vote review panel in Gwinnett, Georgia, repeatedly argued Friday that write-in ballots for Mike Pence as president should count for Donald Trump, the group's Democratic representative tells me. The GOP panel member objected 5 to 6 times when write-in ballots for Pence were brought before the group, claiming those voters intended to vote for the Trump-Pence ticket, and therefore they should count for Trump. The argument was overruled each time, this person said. The source also tells me that the GOP review panel member in question was brought in during Friday's session to replace the original person who was serving as the party's representative. They called the swap disconcerting.
Okay, so let me comment on those one at a time. So if you bothered to write in Mike Pence, your intention was to vote for Mike Pence. It's not remotely unclear. Basically, you're saying, I'm a Republican. I like Pence, who's a good, solid right-wing evangelical Republican. I can't bear to vote for Donald Trump, who's at the top of the ticket, so I'm writing him in. Okay, but I don't have to read your intentions. Your intentions are actually irrelevant. You wrote Mike Pence. That's who you voted for. Then why are they sending in guys like this? Just to gum up the works, just to delay the proceedings, challenge every single thing. It doesn't matter how absurd it is. So that's an attempt to, thwart the actual results of the election. Now, to the earlier story about barricading himself in, I don't know if you got the memo, Trump, so I'll just show it to you so you're clear, okay? You're fired, okay? You're fired. That's the memo. So that's on shoptyt.com. But you know what? Every time I say it, I get angrier at the networks. Biden right now, as we stand here, New York Times website, has a 1.8% lead in Nevada, over 22,000 votes. The only remaining districts are Democratic districts. What are you waiting for? So the longer you wait, the more Trump gets entrenched and his supporters get entrenched. And they say, oh, well, it's taking so long, it must be super close. And if Biden wins at the end, it must have been cheating. Call it already. Everybody knows he won. Everybody knows Biden won. Let's go, right? So, but look, at the end of the day, Now, unfortunately, the day is going to stretch and stretch and stretch because apparently these networks are too scared of Trump to tell you what the truth is. So what's going to happen is they're going to come and actually physically remove him from the building. And I told you about this how many months ago? We even did a petition about it. I told you this guy is like, when he says that he doesn't want to, they asked him 3 different times, do you want to do a peaceful transfer of power? And he did not give a clear yes. He said, well, it depends. No, it doesn't depend. You can barricade yourself in all you want, you lunatic dictator wannabe. But at some point, the Secret Service has to come and remove you from the building and then clear out the stench. And so we can have a president that actually believes in America. Could you imagine if any of these presidents, now Obama, it doesn't make sense because he never lost an election, but if he had, and he just barricaded himself inside the White House, the right wing would have surrounded the building with weapons already by now, right? And it's not a thing in America. It's not a thing in America. For you to say, I'm not gonna leave no matter what, even if everyone says you've lost the election, means you never believed in America. Un-American, un-American, un-American.
Let me give you more from this Vanity Fair article because each paragraph is more amazing than the previous one. So it is a possibility the president did not consider in a serious way during the election, despite polls showing him with only a narrow path to victory, believing that looking past election day was bad luck. The delicate matter of a loss and the potential post-presidential life was not discussed widely among his team and was not raised often with the president, who believed adamantly he would win. Now people around Trump are working to identify who might be able to communicate to him the stark reality. There has been talk of potentially Jared Kushner or Ivanka Trump, though their willingness to lead a difficult intervention wasn't clear.
Now, what a baby, what a baby. Hey, let's get Ivanka. The baby listens to Ivanka. It's okay, Donnie, it's okay. I know it hurts, Donnie. I know it does. But you gotta stop crying now, Donnie. Okay, you've been crying for days and days. We gotta pack up, we gotta go, okay? I don't wanna leave, I don't wanna leave. I mean, our president is so immature. They're strategizing inside his own White House. Which adult can we send to talk to him to get him to stop throwing a temper tantrum? Anna said this a couple of days ago, but my God, it's never been more right. The right wing who talked about a meltdown for us or any Democrats in 2016. You remember all the memes of like the woman crying in the streets, like and then they would put that meltdown. No. This is what a meltdown looks like.
This is a real meltdown.
When you barricade yourself in the White House and you're crying and to be fair, they didn't say crying, I'm saying crying. But you're so despondent and you're detached from reality, and they have to send your grown adult daughter to talk you down and say, Donnie, we might have to leave at some point, okay? So that's the conversation we're having now. That's a meltdown. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's a lot.
I'll take a chance on this.
Some Americans will not be able to pay their rent this month, so now we're seeing a flood of landlords filing for evictions.
Housing advocates for both tenants and landlords are desperate for solutions. Scripps reporter Chris Conte looks at how this is all playing out right in the middle of a nationwide eviction moratorium.
I do think you're going to want in this new section, obviously, the COVID impact question somehow.
Grace Ross is drowning in paperwork, literally. Her office is filled with boxes overflowing with affidavits. The housing crisis in this country, she says, has taken on a life of its own.
We're talking about a long-term economic impact.
Grace runs an anti-foreclosure nonprofit where every day her team is fielding calls from people who have run out of money to pay their rent and are now facing eviction proceedings.
People are panicked. They're just, I think with how panicked, the low-level panic that we're all running around COVID already, and then you add the fact that they're looking at elders who will die if they're on the street regardless of COVID, or children who won't be able to go to school remotely.
COVID cases are also spiking across the country, and Americans who are trying to quarantine at home to stay safe are in jeopardy of losing their homes.
Yeah, on a foreclosure deed, there's going to be the name.
Housing courts in many states are still closed, so eviction hearings, which happen before a family actually is forced to leave, have to be done via Zoom, which presents its own challenges.
One of the areas of law where people self-represent the most is eviction cases and housing-related cases. So it's the worst court to have this happen in. Hi, guys, I'm back.
Grace is also an attorney. Before COVID, lawyers would often resolve cases without a judge getting involved. Now, though, eviction hearings are being drawn out because attorneys can't meet in person, adding another layer of complexity to the housing crisis.
I don't think our courts have begun to address what social science research shows, which is that nonverbals are critical. And you can't get justice, especially if you're self-represented. You don't know what's supposed to be happening in court.
Nearly 12 million adults live in households that missed their last rent payment. 23 million people have little or no confidence in their ability to make their next rent payment. It's not just renters. Landlords who make less than $50,000 a year are also being hit hard because they get most of their income from tenants' rent. The CDC has a ban through the end of the year on actual evictions, but that doesn't mean eviction hearings aren't going forward in court.
And that street-level economy is the one that is just collapsing under the weight of the COVID impacts in a million different ways.
A fractured economy struggling to heal in the middle of the pandemic. I'm Chris Conte.
All right, we did yesterday's CV reports. Let's do today's. Y'all ready for today's CV report? Oh yeah, while I'm here, let me check. Go to analytics. Yeah, cause you, I put up $20. Where we at now? All right. Yay! All right. I'm gonna put that money on the WitchCon. So be expecting my payment the 21st to 22nd. But yay, we did it. Thanks to everybody who contributed. All right, let's get to the news. $10,182,977 cases of coronavirus in the United States so far. 243,257 deaths. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Texas, 5,273. They lost 93 people today. They still got 163,723 people walking around. California, 4,869 new cases. They lost 24 people today. They got 458,159 people walking around with the CV. Florida, 4,452. They lost 87 people today. They got 226,127 people still walking around with the CV. New York City, they picked up 3,415 new cases. They lost 16 people today. They got 104,023 people walking around New York City, or the state of New York. Illinois, 12,400. Damn, 12,000. Damn, Illinois. Illinois coming for you, New York. 12,438 new cases today. 12,000 cases in the state of Illinois. They lost 91 people today. They still got 172,684 people infected. They got more people infected than Texas or New York right now. Damn. Georgia on my mind. They picked up 2,195 new cases. They lost 39 people today. They got 151,448 infected people walking around Georgia. Ain't nothing finer than the women of North Carolina. 2,676 new cases. They lost 23 people today. They got 40,322 people walking around. Tennessee, 5,071 new cases. They lost 49 people today. It's 25,463 people walking around with the CV in Tennessee. Wisconsin, 263,130. They picked up 7,065 new cases today. They lost 45 people. And they got 57,950 infected people walking around Wisconsin. New Jersey, 2,920 cases today. They lost 12 people. They got 57,366 people walking around New Jersey infected. Arizona, 2,620. They lost 38 people today. They got 208,287 people walking around with the CV right now. Ohio, 5,549 new cases. They lost 12 people. They got 57,301 people still walking around. Pennsylvania, 3,236. They lost 37 people today. They got 54,778 people still walking around with the CV. What up, though, Michigan? They got 6,494. They lost 65 people. In the state of Michigan, they got 92,077 people walking around with the CV. Missouri, 1,207. They lost 5 people today. They got 152,037 infected people walking around Missouri. Indiana, 4,899 cases. They lost 43 people in Indiana. They got 69,855 infected people walking around Indiana. Alabama, 1,768 new cases. They lost 33 people. They got 114,929 infected people walking around Alabama. Virginia, 2,103 new cases. They lost 22 people today. They got 165,728 people infected with the CV. No stats for Louisiana. South Carolina, where you at, the driver? 1,870 new cases. They lost 10 people today. It's 84,972 infected people in South Carolina right now. Minnesota, 4,647. They lost 34. They got 29,475 people walking around. Massachusetts, 2,302. 23 people died today. They got 20,720 walking around. My state of Maryland, my little itty bitty bitty state of Maryland. 1,410 new cases today. We lost 7 people. Thank God I ain't one. Iowa, 4,363. They lost 11. Oh, I'm sorry. In Maryland, we got 140,430 people walking around with the CV. Iowa, 4,363. They lost 11. They got 47,242 people walking around today. Oklahoma, 47,741. They lost 9. They got 21,827 infected people walking around. Utah, 2,956. They lost 9 also. They got 36,921 walking around. Colorado, 3,498 new cases. They lost 13 people. They got 76,837 people walking around with the CV. You got M.I., cookie letter, I, cookie letter, I, humpback, I. Mississippi, 1,031 new cases. They lost 14. They got 16,613 people walking around with the CV. Arkansas, 1,598. They lost 12 people today. They got 12,166 people walking around infected. Kentucky, 2,156. They lost 17 people. They got 96,587 people walking around infected with the COVID. Washington State, 1,060. No deaths. They got 62,907 people walking around with the CV. Nevada, 1,824. They lost 5 people. They got 33,420 people walking around with the CV. Kansas, 449 new cases, no deaths. 29,165 munchkins are wandering around the land of Oz in Kansas. Nebraska, no stats. Connecticut, no stats. Idaho, 1,403. They lost 4 people. They got 39,299 people infected. South Dakota, 1,337. They lost 13. They got 15,050 people walking around infected. New Mexico. I said New Mexico. 1,277. They lost 16. They got 29,479 infected people walking around. North Dakota, 1,602 new cases a day. They lost 15. They got 10,325 infected people walking around. Oregon, 979 new cases. They lost 13. No stats on the cases. Montana, 1,001. They lost 26. They got 14,678 walking around. Rhode Island, roller R's, Rhode Island, no stats. West Virginia, 655. They lost 15. They got 6,454 people walking around infected. Delaware, 223 new cases, no deaths today. They got 11,654 people walking around with the CV. Alaska, 601 cases, no deaths. They got 11,606 people walking around. District of Columbia, 99 new cases. They lost 2. They got 3,426 infected people walking around. Wyoming, 192, no losses. They got 6,350 people still infected. Wyoming, I'm sorry, Hawaii, they got 128 new cases. And I get to say it for the first time today. And they lost one. They got 3,593 people walking around infected on the island. New Hampshire, 229 new cases. And they lost one. They got 1,772 people walking around with the CV. Maine, 159 new cases today. They lost 2. They got 1,545 people walking around the state of Maine. Vermont, 21 new cases. And they lost 1. And they got 375 people walking around Vermont with the CV. And then they got Puerto Rico. You got to roll them off. Puerto Rico. They got 1,013. No deaths, no stats on their cases. Guam, 36. And they lost 1. They got 1,622 people walking around Guam with the CV. No stats for the Virgin or Mariana Islands. No stats for the U.S. military, Veteran Affairs. 1,122. And they lost 23. And they got 7,930 still active. No stats for the federal prison, Navajo Nation, 158. No losses. They got 4,215 people infected on the reservation in the Navajo Nation. Total, 10,182,977. Total cases for the day, 124,390 new cases of the CV reported today, just today. We got 243,257 deaths. We lost 1,031 people today. Active cases, people that's walking around the United States right now with the CV among our 51 states in Guam and the Mariana Islands and the Samoan Islands. We got 3,497,972 infected Americans. 3,497,972 infected Americans. I guarantee you, China still ain't hit 500 for the whole 1.5 billion. I bet you they ain't hit 500 yet. But we got 3,497,972 people walking around right now with the disease, just walking around, infected. Alrighty, y'all. I'm going to go watch the wrestling. Y'all have a great night. I appreciate y'all coming and hanging with me. I'll see y'all later on today. Depending on what time I get up, I might do a sermon. So, y'all have a great night. Thanks for watching. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Or later on today. Anaya will say I'll see you soon. Y'all know I say I'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a great night and take it easy. And we are out. Good night, Nia. You rest well too. And I'll see y'all later on.